Welcome to Real Money Talks, how to make money, manage money, and invest money. Your Real Money Talks host, Laurel Langemeier, gets straight to the point about what it actually takes to make money and build lasting wealth in today's changing economic climate. If you're ready to get the financial results you've always dreamed of, keep listening. Real Money Talks is the right place for you. And now here's your host, Laurel Langemeier.
Hi, this is Laurel, and welcome back to Laurel's Real Money Talks. We're here podcasting about how to make money, keep money, invest money with a team. And one of my dear friends in team is here, Shawn Shewchuk, and we're actually in Calgary at his event, the Millionaire Business Experience. So welcome.
Thank you very much for having me.
So tell our listeners a little bit about you and how you're just magnificent.
Well, you're very kind. So I would classify myself more of a serial entrepreneur than anything else. I've had the privilege to work with somewhere in the neighborhood of about 85 plus 100 individuals, entrepreneurs over the last more years than I care to count, and 43 businesses to date. The idea behind what we do very simply is most people get stuck. Most people want into business to achieve something. Usually that's freedom, but they don't understand what freedom is. And most people get stuck head down, ass up in their businesses, working more in their businesses than when they had a job, and they don't get to experience the freedom that they were promised.
I know. I love that. I love that. Head down, ass up. That's good. I haven't heard you say that. Now you do, and you just said it from the stage. So download, delegate, automate.
Yes.
Brilliant. Let's have a conversation about each of those because there's such power in each of those pieces.
There is. And so I don't use them all together to make light of them. The idea behind it very simply is that most entrepreneurs today, they, as I said a moment ago, they don't have all the tools in the toolbox, and they really need to arm themselves. If you're in construction and you're a framer and you show up on the job site with no tools in your truck, you're really of no use. So trying to run a business, operate a business while you're in the space of technician, you're a good plumber, you're a good consultant, whatever that is you're good at, that doesn't mean you're an entrepreneur. So you need to understand that you need to download whatever it is your experience to somebody in order to scale the business. Delegate. Most people even start to build a team in an attempt to scale, but they still hang on to this entrepreneur syndrome where, one, if it's not done by me, if I don't do everything myself, it's not done right. And even if they have the ability to start a team financially, they don't want to work with them. They want to coach them. They get frustrated. They get upset. Like, this person's too slow. They're too stupid. They're whatever that is. And they push them aside, and still now they're paying a salary, but they're still doing most of the work themselves because, hey, I can get it done faster.
That happens a lot, doesn't it?
It does. So download, delegate, automate very simply is this. You can't do it all yourself. You need to find technology. In today's day and age, there are a ton of ways for you to automate. As you know from our conversations in the past, some of the software programs that we use and what we invest monthly into some of our software programs is astronomical. I know you do the same. Yep. But the key behind it is when you get an email from me, I'm not sitting at the computer, but it's directed to you. When some of our marketing campaigns were out there doing this stuff, I'm not sitting there. Neither are my team members day in and day out. We put it in, the old idea that you can create something and then not have to sleep on it. Yep. I think that's the key for a lot of people. So most entrepreneurs need to understand those three terms, and then they need to implement what they mean in their business and lives as it applies to their business. And where do you find the biggest mistakes are? Because there's mistakes in each of those, right? But what are you seeing because you're working so intimately with different entrepreneurs? We are, and I don't know if I can quantify just one mistake, but when we talk about downloading our knowledge, most people are horrible coaches. And I know that's a really direct and blunt statement. It's true. Most people don't communicate very clearly. Most people may not even have been taught how to communicate very clearly. So in order to take all this experience, they have a lifetime of knowledge, experience, skills, and education in their head. In order to take that and download, sometimes we have to work with them to be able to communicate that and coach that into their staff and their teams. So that's one. Two, delegation is huge. A real leader doesn't say, go do this. They say, let's go do this. And so instead of barking orders, why don't you work with your team to do something together as a team on a collaborative basis? This is not meant for you to bark orders. You're not the drill sergeant, right? And then the automation side, of course, everybody falls down on that almost. 98% of all small businesses today are trying to do everything themselves. I walked into one about 2 years ago. I shared the story with you maybe a year or so ago. And the elderly gentleman, I'm going to say is probably early 80s, runs a multi-million-dollar company with a blue ledger, the old style blue line books. No accounting software, no anything. So Is he a dinosaur? Yeah. And while not everyone is there, most people don't have clarity around data. How do you make an informed decision on what you're going to do in your business if you don't have data? And I know people say, well, Shawn, you're not really the data guy. Well, in our business, in order to make decisions on where we're going to take the company, I can ask one of my team members to hit print. I know exactly where we are. And I think that's a key when it starts coming down to the automation side. Same with marketing. A real marketing initiative has a minimum of a 3-pronged approach. There is software that can help you market. But if you don't have the software, what are you going to do? Are you just going to stand on the street corner and hold up a pizza sign? You get 2 for 1. Like, it's not really going to work for most businesses.
Well, and also, don't you find that the automation, because it requires technology, if the entrepreneur is not technical, then they have to hire, and they let hiring people become a block versus knowing that. I mean, the software we're talking about for the most part. I mean, you get one person on that software, and it really could replace 3 people. But people have such a block. I
agree with you. We're very fortunate and blessed. We've got a couple of people on our team who are phenomenal at a lot of the stuff that we use. And I've got a longtime friend local to us here in Calgary who quit his job as a cabinet maker. This guy's a rock star. I mean, when the G8 Summit met here in Kananaskis in the Rocky Mountains a few years ago, he's the one that built the table. Like, this guy's incredible. When he builds stuff, it lasts for decades. He quit his job because they hadn't given him a raise in 20 years. And he started a company. He said, Shawn, I want you to help me with this. It's not a problem. To this day, it's been 12 years. He doesn't have any employees. I said, what happens if you cut your arm off? And God forbid, but it can happen. I said, what happened? He goes, I don't know. And you see, this is how most people live. So he runs a cabinet business, making the best, most beautiful cabinets there are all over Western Canada, even shipping sometimes out east. But he's a solopreneur.
Yeah.
Is he an entrepreneur? No. Quite frankly, he's a technician because he's good at building boxes, and that's it.
Well, and people must love him because he doesn't seem to have to do any marketing.
No, they love him. All his business comes from referrals, right?
But don't you also find that everybody has kind of what I call their cap? Like for him, for example, if he was making 80 to 100,000, that if he can actually do 120, 150, it's better than the job and it's enough.
It's true.
Like, don't you think a lot of people have really low goals?
Most people don't set goals, to be clear. Most people don't understand.
That's true. Then
most people don't set a goal. A lot of times, when I speak, as just like yourself, I speak all over. And one of the questions I always ask people is, what do you really want? And the answer I always get is, well, I don't want to go broke, and I don't want a divorce, and I don't want. And I say, well, what are we looking at here? Well, I don't want to, hold on. What are you focused on? Whatever you're focused on, you're going to get more of. So if you're just blindly going through life, the old analogy, if you put a boat in the middle of body of water with no captain or crew on board, it's going to go in circles and eventually be derelict on shore somewhere, crashed and burned. That's you without having a destination.
Yeah, that's true. So how do you help someone get a destination?
Well, I think you have to be clear and understand what the purpose of goal setting is. I know this sounds simple to a lot of people. They say, well, I've been hearing about goals all my life, Shawn. I heard all the big guys talk about it for years. But there's only one reason to set a goal, and that's growth. If you know how to do something, it's not a goal. So most people set goals that are too low. Jim Collins in the book Good to Great talks about great, big, hairy, audacious goals. And most people, if you said that in a room like our event here today, they would scare the you-know-what out of people because it forces change. Most people, they wrap their head, heart, and hands around status quo until the pain of change, or if remaining the same is greater than the pain of change. Think about that. It's a sad state of affairs. Most people don't want it. And Dr. Neil Cobain says something interesting. He said that the only people he's found that love change is baby in wet diapers. Right?
I've never heard that. That's horrible.
It's awesome.
It's true, though. So the comment you just made about what they don't want. I mean, my whole conversation about money, and most people know what they don't want. They don't want, like I said, don't want to be broke. I don't. So what are some tools you can give our listeners to get in a more thoughtful, forward-thinking goal-setting state? I think that's good.
Your goal, some time. Your goal is going to have to be something that motivates you, scares you, and inspires you all at the same time. Your goal is going to have to be something you don't know how to do, and you really, a good friend of yours and mine, Bob Proctor, says, jump off the building and grow wings on the way down. And I think it's really important for people to understand if you are going to avoid risk, which is what, as a society, we've been taught to do. You're never going to get there. You are going to have to take a risk. I'm not talking about taking your money and putting it on red or black, but you're going to have to invest time, energy, effort, and money. And without doing that, you're done. Without having a very clear destination, clarity on where you're going, without having a focus to the exclusion of all the outside distractions, and we can talk about action all day long, but you actually have to execute on quantified action steps, those things that are productive. If I go stand in the middle of the freeway and flap my arms like a bird flaps its wings, I'm taking action, but I'm not going to get very far. You have to do something that's actually moving in the direction of your goal.
Perfect. So I'm going to switch gears a little bit. Talk to me about the Alberta economy. Everyone is known for a while. It's all down. I know you coach a lot of real estate people. You've got a lot of wealthy clients. So just talk in general about the Canadian economy. It's an interesting one to watch.
So as you know, I work all over the United States and Canada primarily, and in Alberta, because the price of energy has dropped so dramatically over the last 2 years, there are a lot of people who are in a rough state of affairs. And this is a really good example of why becoming an entrepreneur is so brilliant. Because right now, if you're an entrepreneur and you decide what you want to generate for income and revenue, you can go out and do that. The people that are suffering right now, is especially if they're in business for themselves, are ones that are very short-sighted. They look down the road and say, hey, change is coming, change is inevitable. We need to make sure that we plan for this. If you're in real estate right now, this is an opportune time to be looking for deals. There are a ton of deals because there are some folks that unfortunately are in a position where they are financially strapped and looking to either get rid of their homes or maybe they're pre-foreclosure. Be out there, be looking, be engaged, make sure that you have what it takes to buy. One of the keys to be successful in business, you know this and I know this, when times are good, put your money away. When times are like they are currently here in Alberta and a lot of parts of Canada, now's the time to do it. If you look at some of the things we're doing right now in business, we're taking over some major space in downtown Calgary to open a business center and co-working space, an entire floor, 20,000+ feet of office space. People are like, are you crazy? Do you know what I can get it for right now?
Cheap.
Blow your mind, right? So in some
cases, I might have to partner with you. I'm opening my building as co-work space.
Yeah.
It's a cool concept.
See, the idea
That's
is
great.
People did this 3 years ago when it was $40, $50, $60 a square foot plus your operating costs. All of a sudden now, most of us, if we know what we're doing, go in for $5 or less a square foot and sign a long-term lease or a sublet, whatever the case may be. Now, the average person didn't think about that, right? So it's about thinking differently.
That's good. I want to do the co-work space with you. It's interesting. So what's your model going to be?
Well, at the end of the day, I haven't put that on paper yet, and we'll release it in time. There's actually two components to it. One, we actually rent offices to people, and then the second component of it is we actually do have a co-working space. So it's about those solopreneurs who want a space outside of their home. And of course, there's a massive networking component to this, right, in growing their businesses. And then our office will be there as well.
Perfect. I love that. So anything else for our listeners today that you'd like to share? Gems of wisdom. And I know you're going to give a gift to our listeners.
I am going to give a gift. I think one of the important things that most people forget is that every time we set a goal and objective to go there, you're going to encounter challenges, and not all of them are real. The idea, Bob Proctor calls it a terror barrier. We got this amazing idea. We go to do it, and we see this thing that looks like it's 10 foot thick, and we can't go through or around or over it. And that's not a reality. It's really tissue paper. The harsh reality of business is you are going to encounter challenges. Some are real, some are perceived. I'm too stubborn to give up. I'll beat my head against a brick wall. I'll always get through even if I'm bloody. And there are always those little challenges, but it's how you perceive them. Is it a stepping stone or a stumbling block? And that's what you really have to look at. So what I'd love to be able to do is my first book is Change Your Mind, Change Your Results. If your listeners go to freebookfromshawn.com, freebookfromshawn.com. SHAWN. Yeah. So freebookfromshawn.com. And get a free copy of the book.
Cool.
My gift.
Awesome. Appreciate it. Good to be with you. And I'm going to be back with you again. You have an extraordinary group. I had a fun time today.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. All right. You've been listening to Loral's Real Money Talks here at our podcast. So stay tuned for more on our next series.
Thank you for joining Laurel for this segment of Real Money Talks, how to make money, manage money, and invest money. To continue this new conversation and to find free resources to support your wealth creation, visit AskLoral.com/podcast gifts. That's AskLoral.com/podcast gifts. Thanks for listening and join us again soon. New episodes are released every week.